Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign is now in damage control, while Trump is on the offense. This all comes after Biden's garbage comments are now threatening, listen to this, to derail Harris's campaign. Hello, everyone, and happy Halloween. I'm wearing orange for Halloween. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany. Here with my co-hosts, Harris Faulkner and Emily Compagno. Also joining us, Kayleigh McGee-White, journalism fellow for the Steamboat Institute and senior fellow for the Independent Women's Forum, and Mark Thiessen, Fox News contributor. President Biden set off an election firestorm with those viral comments, trashing half the country, trashing Trump supporters.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable.
Now, those remarks, they speak for themselves, and they may fire up and drive up voter turnout for Trump in a razor-tight presidential race. Who knew that Biden would be providing the get-out-the-vote operation for Republicans? But it appears that may be the case. Trump, for his part, he quickly seized on the moment in a big dig to Biden's comments. And in another made-for-TV visual for his campaign that went viral, look at him there. He rolled up in a MAGA garbage truck, wearing a bright orange vest to his campaign rally in Wisconsin.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
Okay, so then he did a press conference from the garbage truck. We are still waiting for Kamala Harris to do one. He did one from a garbage truck. And then he stepped on the stage in Green Bay at his rally, still wearing the bright orange vest, and he defended his supporters.
And I have to begin by saying 250 million Americans are not garbage. My response to Joe and Kamala is very simple. You can't lead America if you don't love Americans. That's true. You can't be president if you hate the American people, which I believe they do. Kamala and Joe call all of us, and them, even them, garbage. I call you the heart and soul of America. For the past 9 years, Kamala and her party have called us racists, bigots, fascists, deplorables, irredeemables, Nazis, and they called me Hitler. They've bullied you, they've demonized us, they've censored us, they've deplatformed us, and they weaponized the power of our own government against all of us. They've taken your money, they've thrown open your borders to criminals and terrorists, they've given your jobs to illegal migrants and sent our blood and treasure to fight in stupid foreign wars where the countries don't even know who we are and where we've never heard of the country. This Tuesday is your chance to stand up and declare you are not going to take it anymore.
Now, Emily, he technically did a gaggle from the truck. We did see Kamala give a gaggle, still maintain the fact she's not done one formal press conference. We await that. You've got about 6 days here. But, Emily, that moment symbolized so much. It wasn't just some gimmicky stunt wearing a garbage man's vest. That is not what it was. He talked about all the things that have been done to American people. He connected it to policy, the grievances at the border, economically. And then he said, I'm standing up for you. To connect a flaw of Biden to policy and turn it around into a viral moment, it's really something to see.
Oh, it is. It's brilliant. But it wasn't a machinated strategy. He leaned into it because he authentically is like, you call me garbage? Well, then that's what I am. But you know what? I call us the heart and soul of America. And he's been leaning into, embracing authentically now for years, the fact that he represents and is one of the portion of America, the large majority of America that has been forgotten. And not only forgotten, but that was called deplorables and irredeemables and terrible things, that has been chastised, castigated, that has been absolutely trashed by this administration and by those that went before it that are part of that machine. And to have someone stand up for you. Remember, I talked about this months ago out of Iowa, when the #1 response for those in the primaries that voted for Trump, their #1 reason was because he fights for people like me. And we are seeing it there. And by the way, out in the streets of New York, I've seen a lot of people in a Donald Trump costume wearing that garbage vest. It's phenomenal because they say, you know what? Me too. And that is phenomenal.
It is. You know, Harris, it was really funny when he described his decision to wear that on stage. I would have never expected that because he's kind of particular about what he wears and appearance.
He is.
But listen to him describe the decision here.
Then I got in the car and I'm driving over here and I have this still on. And I come into the arena and I say, where's my jacket? I want to get out of this thing. And they said, it would be unbelievable if you could wear it on stage. I said, and I said, no way. I got 25,000 people standing outside. I got all these people here. There's no way I'm wearing it on stage. They said, oh, okay, sir. I said, get me my jacket. But if you did, you know, it actually makes you look thinner. I said, oh. And they got me. I said, I want to wear it on stage. When they said I look thinner, I said, in that case, I'll wear it on stage. I may never wear a blue jacket again. I may go.
All right, so you would know. I mean, you've worked with him in many different capacities. What's going on there?
Look, I mean, he has his look, right? This is a man who knows brand. So he has his brand. He has his iconic red tie, which he occasionally changes up. But he looked thinner. So his staff, so smart to get him on stage like that. I love it. He was having fun.
Look, if you're Kamala Harris and you have worked, as Emily has talked about, because she lived in California at the time, as long as she has on the public dole, right, getting her paycheck from taxpayers as an attorney general of our largest state in the union, California, as a prosecutor, and now as vice president. I mean, taxpayers have paid her bill. If you don't know by now how to connect with people and to understand how to own a moment that your boss has created, I mean, you're stepping in all sorts of stuff now. You've got to connect with the American people, and it needs to be authentic, and it needs to be organic for you to own this moment. And the reason Kamala Harris doesn't own it right now, and that she reflexively wants to go after a different comment that Trump made, as we saw in that gaggle today, because we took it live during Faulkner Focus. The reason that she can't own that moment right now is because it's not who she is. And she doesn't have more than 5 days to convince the public that she can do this. She can connect with, and this isn't just about garbage truck workers. It's not. This is about blue-collar workers. This is about every man and woman in the country who have a job right now, all paying more for their groceries and whatnot. She can't do it. Now, maybe she's got other gifts that she can show in the next 5 days, but this kind of ownership of a moment, we haven't seen it yet.
You know, Biden made a garbage comment, so naturally the White House had to do cleanup on aisle dumpster, not aisle 5 this time. And, you know, this cleanup on aisle dumpster did not go so well, and I don't envy anyone's position having to defend this, though the apostrophe, that was kind of clever to come up with. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre endeavoring to explain the impossible.
So just to clarify, he was not calling Trump supporters garbage.
So did President Biden make a mistake in his comments yesterday?
He clarified what he said. It was very clear what he was trying to do. He was wanting to make sure that what he said was not taken out of context, and he clarified that.
This isn't the first time the White House has had to defend or clarify the president's comments.
Nobody's defending the president himself. This is the president himself wanting to clarify what he said. He wanted to make sure that it was not taken out of context. These are the president's words. Nobody here is defending. We are laying out what the president said himself, and he wanted to clarify that.
Kaylee, if I would have tried that at the podium, there would have been a ferocious roar. Acosta would have stormed out. John Carl would be rolling on the floor. How does she get away with this?
Yeah, Democrats' attempts to walk this back crack me up because this is essentially their argument. Trump supporters are racist, a little bit sexist, fascist Nazis. but don't worry, you're not garbage. It's completely inconsistent. It makes no sense. And Trump is totally right to point out that the garbage comment is entirely in line with the way that Democrats have historically treated their voters. You even think back to a couple weeks ago when Barack Obama made that condescending lecture to black men about, well, if you were just not so sexist, maybe you would start supporting Kamala Harris. This is what they think of voters. And, you know, Trump says that it's because they hate the American people. I think it's more accurate to say that they hate what the American people represent. They hate that someone with no political power out in the middle of flyover country has the ultimate source of authority in this country. They hate that someone like my mother-in-law, who worked in an auto factory still since she was 16 years old, has the final say over who gets to go to Washington, D.C. That is what they hate. They do not want to have to answer to the American people. They want the power for themselves.
So Democrats disparaging half the country. We did bring some receipts on that note. Thank you for prompting that. Let's roll it.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
You could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
People have been beaten down so long, and they feel so betrayed by government.
So it's not surprising then that they get bitter. They claim to dance or religion or antipathy towards people who aren't like them, and a way to explain their frustrations.
If you voted for Trump, you voted for the person who the Klan supported. You voted for the person who Nazis support. You voted for the person who the alt-right supports.
He also knows deep in his heart that Donald Trump couldn't find Ukraine on a map if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. He knows that this is, you know, an administration defined by ignorance of the world. And so that's partly him playing to their base and playing to their audience, you know, the credulous boomer Rube demo that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's a smart one and they're, y'all elitists are dumb.
Mark.
Yeah, they have contempt for us. It's just that simple. They do. But you know, when it comes to Biden's comments, so 6 months ago, when it was obvious that Joe Biden was in cognitive decline, they were telling us, don't believe your lying eyes. Now they're telling us, don't believe your lying ears. I mean, we played it twice now. It is absolutely clear what he said. And this just shows the lie of the Biden presidency. This is a man who, in his inaugural address, said, I will put my whole soul into uniting this country. Just a few months ago, he said, after the first assassination, we got to lower the temperature. Now we're garbage, we're Nazis, we're fascists. You know, this talk about, you know, just a complete repudiation of the theory of his entire presidency.
That's right. And if my father, Mike McEnany, and his passion on the garbage comment is any indicator of the get out the vote operation here, Biden just provided a huge win for Republicans. So we will see.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.